What's up, race fans? Welcome to Daytona week on the Backroad. We have got a packed show for you, filled with all kinds of DFS goodness, our favorite bets, and of course, just looking ahead to the great American race. It's Daytona 500, baby. Are you ready? Hang tight. We'll be right back with the Backroad.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checkered flag. That's all this race is.
Good evening, all, and welcome into the Backroad. Rod said it best. It is Daytona 500 week, finally. We've been building up to it, and the Great American Race is right around the corner. My name's Elliot Hicks. With me tonight, Seth Woolcock and Rod Villagomez. Guys, I'm excited. How about you?
Let's effing go, boys. I mean, the Clash, sponsored by Busch Light, of course. It's always a good start up to the season, but we're here. Points are on the line, and I'm ready to lay down some bets. Rod, the books brought it this week as well. I'm pumped up.
I tell you, you heard my excitement just a second ago. I'm totally pumped. We've been doing shows all off season long, and it's just like, it's funny because trying to get back into the swing of actual betting, it was tough. I was stumbling all over myself. Like this is preseason for us too, I suppose, like the first race of the season for us. But yeah, I'm stoked. Like you said, the books absolutely brought it. We're bets that we've never seen before, and now all of a sudden we get a chance to bet on a bunch of crazy things from the Daytona 500. And why not? It's the first race of the season, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we certainly love to see that. Of course, we got there used to be the Gatorade duels, now the blue-green vacation duels. So maybe you got that on in the background while we're going here. Normally we would start in the rear view, but we're just about to get the season rolling. So we're going to start off with the horizon forecast for the Daytona 500.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
Shout out once again to Ray Dunlap in the intro. All right, so we're at Daytona. You know it well. It's the old traditional 2.5-mile asphalt oval. Looking at some of the trends, as we saw last night, Alex Bowman, 6 front row starts in a row. That's the only Bowman homer moment I'll have of the night. I got to work it. Chevrolet qualifies well here. They don't always race well, though. Ford has had 3 of the last 5 Daytona wins. The last non-Denny Hamlin Toyota win at Daytona was Eric Jones in 2018. But at the end of the day, we just flipped out some good stats for all 3 manufacturers. The most important thing to remember is that super speedways are a crapshoot. They are unpredictable, and anything can happen, which does make it tough on the bettors for sure.
Yeah, this is one we have to keep ourselves in check. I know we're excited, but bankrolls need to be managed. Let's not go blow them here in the first week because as we saw in the raining race back there in, I believe that was August, I mean, anything can happen here at Daytona. So we're excited, but keep your bankrolls in check here. I think that's something we need to remember here, Rod.
Every single week we say that. It's like, listen, just this is going to be the race where you are probably going to expect to lose every single bet that you make, except, of course, if you bet on one of the Hendrick cars, and more specifically Bowman, to win the pole, which was something, it was a 14-1 bet going into the weekend, and we were pretty much saying, hammer the Hendrick cars. You can even just put a bet on all 4 of them, split up your unit, put it in 4s, and one of them is going to pay off. Alex Bowman paid off big time. So you're already starting in the green if you did that, and now it's playing with house money at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was like 14-1, I even saw he was 16-1 at some point. Those Hendrick cars are always on the front row, and Bowman in particular has done it every year. Byron's been good. Larson's been there the last 2 years. So hopefully you were smart enough to take those long odds and get a little bit of money here. But, yeah, go ahead, Seth.
Well, I was just going to say, man, hats off to Alex Bowman. He did it again. Everyone knows, like, it was one of the chalkier bets coming into the week, to be honest. People were talking about it. I was following Rod and some of the other experts in this industry. And I said, is he really going to do it again? It's actually the same starting lineup as last year, flipped. Bowman, Larson on that front line. So good to see the Hendrick boys back out in front.
Love to see it.
And I'm sure they like starting out front. I think they'd like winning the race a little more. We'll see how that goes. And what do you think? Are we ready to move on to our tire tiers here for the 500?
Yeah, I think we are. Before we do, I just want to shout out the IBT family hanging around in the chat. We got Dee Dee. She already dropped a welcome in the chat. So appreciate everyone tuning in. If you guys aren't subscribed yet to the channel, make that happen. But let's continue on the back road. We're here all season long. Let's go ahead and hit it here. Like Elliot said, with the tire tiers.
Alrighty, so we've got our nice little tier maker back here, and we're going to rank all the drivers in the field into 5 categories. We got the driver A's, the B's, the C's, the D's, and the not so good E's. We can call them F's, we can call them whatever. You're probably not going to bet them any other week than Daytona, but they're relevant this week because anything can happen at the super speedways. All right, who wants to start it off here?
Before we jump in, I do want to remind everyone we're pulling a lot of these salaries from DraftKings, their daily fantasy. We're also be looking at some of our salaries from our in-season league we got going on over at Fantrax as well. So keep in mind, like, these are good for both those platforms, DraftKings, Fantrax, if you're playing on maybe FanDuel as well. So just wanted to throw that out there. Why don't we give it to Hot-Rod down there? Hot-Rod came in with the fire starting us out. So Hot-Rod, why don't you take it away, man? Who's the 101 here for the driver A's?
You know, it's crazy, but I am very impressed right now. And I mean this because I've watched it in the duel, especially this first duel that just happened. But these Toyotas are actually looking pretty good. And honestly, out of all of them, Bubba Wallace is starting to make some noise to me. And that, my friends, is a crazy 101 when it comes to the Daytona 500. But look, if we're embracing chaos, what better chaos to have than to have Bubba Wallace up there in those driver A's? Now, listen, I'm not saying that it's going to be like the top driver, but at the very least, he's looked fast. He looked fast during that first duel. And I think if he wouldn't have made the move that he made, he could have been contending there with those Fords at the end, but he was hanging tight very much most of that duel. And I think he's got something for this race. And I'm really curious to see how this pans out. And I'm not afraid to take him as one of my top drivers in this tier.
A couple things to keep in mind about Bubba. I'm definitely going to harp on him later because I do love Bubba this week. 9,400 on DraftKings, so he is in that upper echelon. DK is realizing this guy is someone who comes to play at these super speedways, and he's starting 11th as of now. So that gives you those differential points that if he does finish first, second, third, something like that, he could really make that difference for your team. So I like Bubba Wallace a lot here, Rod. I think that's a really excellent pick. A little hot. I'm sure we're going to lose some live listeners for that one. But overall, I'd like to take here. Elliot, why don't you take it? We'll make our way up the ladder here, man.
Sounds good. I mean, keep in mind, Bubba being the 101, it's not necessarily the case. I don't know that we'd call this a draft or so more than just shouting out drivers we want to shout out. But I don't know. Bubba being 101 is controversial, and we like a little bit of controversy here on the back road, so we can go with it. Another Toyota that ran well in duel number 1 that I just watched before we came on here was Christopher Bell. Keep it with the Toyota theme. To be honest with you, I was a little worried about the Toyotas coming in just because at Daytona, a lot of it in the draft is manufacturer strategy. You've got a boatload of Chevys out there. You got a boatload of Fords out there, and you only got 7 Toyotas out there. That's not very many Toyotas. When you have the scenes of getting in drafts, getting in packs, even getting down pit road, it's it can be tough for those 7 guys to mix in. Oftentimes they're able to do it well. They've shown more speed in these qualifying and in these duels than I thought. Chris Bell ran well. He's at a pretty solid price here of $8,600 on DraftKings. He's one of the higher numbers there, but there's 10 or so drivers ahead of him, including Keselowski's ahead of Bell with a better price. We'll talk about that later. That's a little insane. But I think Chris Bell is another Toyota to watch. We've been high on him as potentially being the favorite for Joe Gibbs Racing, and I'm cool with that after seeing his run in the duel.
Yeah, 100%. I'm against you on this one, Elliot, to be honest with you. You look at top 10 rates for drivers under 6 career starts at Daytona, 0% top 10 rate for Christopher Bell. That's him and Harrison Burton down there at the bottom. So he hasn't done it yet. You're expecting a little bit of a coming out party here at Daytona, a place that he has struggled in the past.
That's fair. Yeah. Coming out party for C Bell. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to keep the trend going, boys. I can't believe he lasted until me to spotlight him. I'm going to take Denny Hamlin here. He belongs in this A tier. He's coming in at DraftKings 10,300, still up there in our Fantrax leagues as well, depending on what kind of salary situation you're working with. But Denny Hamlin, boys, he's consistent at this track. He continues. He's won this race before. And I love Toyotas this week overall. So I don't think and right now on DraftKings, he slotted in the 26th position on the starting grid. So he's got those DK points coming automatically if he moves up a little bit. It's going to be chalky this week, but I'm going to go Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain about Denny Hamlin. It's somebody that I probably would have taken anyways if I wasn't so impressed with Bubba Wallace. I mean,
yes.
same stable anyways, but by the same token, yeah, you can't count Denny Hamlin out of this race at all.
Yeah, and Hamlin currently racing in duel number 2, so we're not quite sure where his starting position will be, but, assuming that he'll have a couple of spots to gain on those differentials, that'll be helpful for sure.
I guess that's on me, huh? All right, well, listen, I will take a former Toyota driver, and I'll take Kyle Busch. I'm fighting very hard not to say Chase Briscoe because I just don't want to believe it, but I'll take Kyle Busch. Now he's in the 8. Don't look for the 18. It's not there.
I was looking for sure.
Look at old habits die hard. That's why Mike Joy called the 48 car Jimmie Johnson in that class. Like,
it took him about 30 seconds. They had an overlay of the track to show the difference between the Ford and the Chevy cars, and Alex Bowman, of course, on the pole. He's not running very hard. It just come off pit road. Mike Joy says, Johnson's off the pace here. I don't know what he's doing. And then realizes, Johnson's in the 84, Bowman's in the 48.
I was like, holy cow.
Got to happen a lot, I'm sure,
I mean, when both of them are on there, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But for Kyle Busch, look, he qualified 10th, right? He qualified in 10th, and then he's racing right now. Obviously, I'm not watching because I want you guys to get my full attention. But by the same token,
P4, I'm shameless enough to be watching.
Right that's fine. You're the host. You're supposed to be. Yeah, but again, if he's P4 in this one, that just proves that he's got some speed. And obviously, there's still time to go. But to me, Kyle Busch is a pissed off Kyle Busch. We've said this on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, and you give me a pissed off Kyle Busch. He didn't have a lot of pace like I thought he would in qualifying, but still to come out 10th with his little paces he had. I like his chances. I think he's going to be a top tier driver, and I think we're going to see him towards the front. Maybe not win, but towards the front in this race.
I like it. Finally getting us off the Toyota train here. Elliot, where are you going? More driver A's for you, I assume?
Yeah, let's keep going with the driver A's. I'm going to keep the theme of former Toyota drivers with Joey Logano. Just won the duel. He's the number 4 price here at $10,000, but the guy just won his second championship. He's been the number 1 guy at Penske now for multiple years. I think he's going to continue riding high and start off the season just as high as he did last year. Whether he wins the 500 or not, Logano, I think, is going to firmly be a driver A for the majority of the season.
Okay. I like that pick. I'm going to go with his teammate here, Ryan Blaney, in that A tier as well. 15 starts for him here at Daytona, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Ryan Blaney's very consistent. He hasn't won that crown jewel yet, and I think this could be the year that he gets it done. We've been saying that for a couple seasons here on the back road, but I think he's going to be in that mix. It's just going to come down to, can he stay clean throughout this race? That's a lot of these drivers here. But I think Ryan Blaney coming in at the price tag of $10,100 over on DK, I think he belongs in this top tier, whether you're playing on DK, Fantrax, any of those other platforms. Rod, back to you, my friend. You can either keep going with A's if you think anyone else belongs in this A tier, or move us to a different tier here.
Well, real quick on Blaney, he was my favorite in my Through the Field column this past week.
Indeed. Well, and look, he was leading in that first duel too. So, I mean, it was him and Bubba Wallace 1-2 for a while. So he definitely has speed. He's got pace, and he can play well with others, at least for the time being, until everybody gangs up on him. But, listen, I know that he should be in a tier A, but for the 500, I'm going to put Chase Elliott in tier B. And I say that because I was very disappointed with the way he looked in qualifying, and I just don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know. He was the worst of the Hendrick car. He didn't even get in to the final, right, to get in, and it was just a very horrendous day for him. Does he bounce back this season? Abso-freaking-lutely. But maybe this team does not have it for the Daytona 500, and And that's okay. I mean, honestly, when you're a guy like Chase Elliott, it's not like you have to completely go balls out every single time. And, you want to, but like he's got nothing to prove. So if he's having a bad weekend, then I think he's smart enough to just say, all right, this isn't our weekend. We'll hang back, try not to get in trouble, and see where we're at the end.
10-4 for the price of him as well. He's the highest on the board right now on DraftKings pre-qualifying. So I won't be having any Chase Elliott probably in my lineups this week. So I agree he probably should be in the B tier because he still is a Class A driver. Elliot, you were a little afraid coming into the season that Chase Elliott might start off slow once again and kill some fantasy hopes right off the rip.
Yeah, Chase has been a slow starter, and so far he's been the fourth best Hendrick car, which is, obviously the worst Hendrick car. He's got the talent to go out there and win the race, obviously, but I agree. He's the guy that's going to kind of sit back this week. 4 or 5 weeks from now, he could very well be the hottest guy on the circuit moving into the spring, early summer stretch. But for now, I'm cool with putting Chase Elliott as a B. And even though Chase Elliott's more of a calm guy, I am going to go with the guy who goes balls to the wall more often than not here in the B category, and that's Ross Chastain in the 1 car. Just announced the new contract extension. Trackhouse has both of their guys locked up now for a few years. Chastain is feeling calm and comfortable in a ride for the first time ever. He went out and won Talladega in the spring last year, made the championship 4 on that crazy Hail Melon, which is now banned and all that, which is very unfortunate because it was too much fun. But I think that Chastain, he'll run hard. As a result, he'll probably get caught up in a wreck at the end of stage 1 that's happened traditionally the last few years. But I like him as a B because if he stays out of trouble early, he very well is going to be one of those guys making moves at the end.
Okay. I like that pick. I'm going to go Austin Cindric in that going back to the Fords here. Austin Cindric, guys, like he is one of the best Daytona racers. We've only seen him in 3 races here, but he does have 2 top 5s. He has the win last season. I think he's going to be in the mix here. Average finish position of 6, worst finish of 15th. So I think he's a very safe play, Austin Cindric. Kind of spread out across platforms where you're going to have to pay for him. I was seeing on Fantrax, he was definitely a value, not so much over here on DK. But I'm going to go Austin Cindric here. Rod, I'm going to shoot it back to you as well.
So this is going to be another controversial take, and I'm okay with it. But I don't know what it is, man. But Eric Almirola this weekend looks fast.
Don't say it.
6,200. Listen, he's only 6,200 on DK. You want to talk about some value and some actual salary relief? The guy actually was one of the fastest ones right out of the gate, qualified 4th. So, I mean, if he can keep that speed up this weekend, I'm not saying that he's going to stay this way all season long. I'm not even saying you may even finish the race that way. But Eric Almirola has proven that he can stay out of the fray. He's okay at super speedways. This could be his final ride, his final season. He hasn't announced it yet, but if you can see, all of my fingers are crossed, and like, I got toes down there that are crossed too.
Should be.
Yeah, should be. But I mean, you want to go out on a bang. You want to go out on top, and it's $6,200. And the way he's looked this weekend, and then how fast he's looked this weekend, I'll take Eric Almirola as a B driver just this week, though.
Just this week. Important distinction. This is another guy. Maybe I'll take him after this week. I don't know. I'm going to put Austin Dillon here in the Bs. He won the most recent race at Daytona, regardless of how that race played out. He did win it at the end. We've already talked about how well he ran at the Clash and how Kyle Busch, being the guy in the 8 car now, could help relieve some of the pressure from Austin Dillon. He's won the Daytona 500 before. He's run well. I'm thinking that he's firmly in the driver B category. Price of, I think it was $8,000. Yeah, $8,000 on DK. Maybe a little steep, but I don't know. I have the faith.
Okay. I like that play, Elliot. I'm going to go to your number 48 car with Alex Bowman. And listen, the one drawback for Alex Bowman right now is he's not going to have any move up points. He can only lose points in that category. So I think a lot of people will actually be off him after getting that poll last night. However, the reason I like Alex Bowman is his consistency here. 1 DNF in his 13 appearances at Daytona. And he was in some really cruddy cars in Daytona in his earlier career as well. So I think Alex Bowman, he's safe. He's not going to be chalky. No one's going to be going to the well to get him. So I think he's a little bit of a pivot play here at the top. Alex Bowman, Elliot, how's that make you feel?
Well, here's the thing on Bowman. I was honestly considering putting him in the C category. You're right in the consistency that he's only had 1 DNF in 13. Most of those, he's been 25 laps down because he got involved in a wreck early, and they just got him out there. So that's the thing with Bowman. He's one of the guys that will qualify well and run well and usually get caught up in someone else's mess. So he still hasn't quite mastered staying out of the mess, surviving until the end. Very rarely is he there at the end in these races. But every year, I mean, it's got to be so tempting even for the non-Bowman fans if you count out the differential points, obviously. You qualify up front. You're on the front row every damn year. One of these days, you're going to win one. So he was kind of between a B and a C for me. But I'll certainly take putting him in the B, yeah.
7,500 for Bowman. That's what I like. It's a price tag that you're not paying for a top tier guy, and he's someone who might lead laps. If he gets lucky, could win stage 1 as well. So I like Alex Bowman this week. Rod, back to you. You can either keep filling out B or C, or you can join us with a different tier here.
I want to put Kevin Harvick in the B's. I want to. I feel like he should be above Bowman, but I think for this purpose, we'll put him in C category. Only because the range of outcomes with Kevin Harvick to me is the highest of highs can be great.
Yeah.
But the lowest of lows. I mean, I suppose you could say that about everybody in this race, but by and large, I feel like Kevin Harvick is that guy too. He was running well. He was running up front too in this last dual race with everybody else. So, I mean, his car's been fast, just like the rest of these Fords that have come around. Now, granted, he only qualified 17th. Which isn't going to help him. But if the place differential is what you're looking for, Kevin Harvick is probably going to give you some of that. Obviously, he's a wily veteran, knows how to get around this track. He's only 7,800, which is a pretty good price for a guy that's going to be able to give you some price moving up points. So we'll see how the duels shake out. We'll see where he actually starts and rolls off the grid from. But I'm starting to like the value on Kevin Harvick. I will keep my fingers crossed that he is a serviceable driver in his last season. Now, this is his last season. We know this.
Yes. All right. Number 4 Busch Light car off the board here, Elliot. Who are you going with if you want to stick with the driver C's or bounce around a little bit?
I got a couple guys I'm kind of balancing in that B and C. In terms of Harvick, he did finish well in that duel. He was up in that lead pack with the Ford, so he'll start a little better than 17th, if I recall correctly. I guess I'll put this guy in driver C. I'm tempted to even maybe bump him up. This guy's a solid C. It's Noah Gragson in the 42.
Yes.
Normally, he would just be in those beard cars, the 62, where they could run well if they got lucky, but it wasn't anywhere near top-tier equipment. Legacy Motor Club, I feel like, is starting to inch their way up a little more. They've got Jimmie Johnson on board. They've got a lot of hype behind them. I think Noah Gragson will pay off. I think he'll be able to run well, run consistently. Again, similarly to we were talking about Bowman, it's difficult for him to stay out front. Similarly to Chastain, maybe he gets caught up in someone else's mess. It wouldn't surprise me to see that Wendy's number 42 on the back of a wrecker before stage 3 even starts. But also, there's a lot of potential up there for him to run fast and run up front.
And what I love about him right now as well, he's coming in 6,400 on DraftKings. That's right around the Eric Almirola range there, Rod. I'll take the shot at Grayson rather than play it safe with Almirola. That's a personal thing there, I think, though. I'm going to go ahead, guys. I'm going to go Tyler Reddick here. It is a higher price tag on DraftKings. It's $9,000. You don't love the price tag right now. However, I do like Tyler Reddick coming into this race. He's very volatile. Like, that's something you need to factor in here. You need to have safe drivers, play it safe, grab a Bubba Wallace, grab a Denny Hamlin to pair with him, someone that you think can get to the end, because he does have a lot of DNFs at this track. However, he does have 2 top 5 finishes and just a couple of starts here. I got to go with Tyler Reddick here. Elliot, how do you feel about Tyler Reddick switching over to that new car here, first race?
Yeah, I mean, Daytona, he hasn't really been so much of a favorite. I think he's going to run well in that car. I don't know that Daytona is going to be the first spot he's going to run well. And I think that's a high enough price. I would consider putting him in driver C. I don't know if you said whether you put him in B or C, but
yeah, I'm going to throw him in C. It's just a little bit too high of a price. I won't have him in all my lineups, but I'll definitely sprinkle him in there a little bit. And let's face it, this is a guy, if it comes down to the end, he's someone who can win it if he's in that final pack. So that's why I like Tyler Reddick here. Rod, going to throw it back to you, my man.
You know how I know I woke up this morning and chose violence? I'm going to go ahead and take Zane Smith in Group C. This is how I know. Look, Zane Smith just finished 8th in the first duel. He looked really good in the draft. He looked strong enough to keep up with these guys. Mm-hmm. That 38 car actually looks like it belongs in the rest of the pack. So if he can do this, if he can actually pull something out, like, I absolutely love the price for Zane Smith. I got to scroll all the way down. He's $5,200, right? And for a guy that can finish 8th in a dual race where several other of the folks that were behind him were William Byron, Ross Chastain, Eric Jones, all those Chevys, right? All those guys. But yet here comes Zane Smith in that Ford. And if Fords are going to be fast this weekend, we might as well take advantage of it. I don't know. Our boss on the SGP called out Fords as aerodynamically superior to everybody this week. So I don't know. He knows nothing about NASCAR, but he sure as hell seemed to know that the Fords had an advantage. And so far, we're starting to see that.
Love that pick there, Rod. Elliot, you going with another young gun here, or are you going to take a veteran?
Well, I'll bring up a couple things before I make my next pick. He's Zane Smith is in the 36 this week. He's not even on the board here.
36. You're right.
So that was my. He will be in the 38 for a few races during the season. The 36 isn't on the board. I was going to suggest we just leave the 38 up because I don't think any of us were really going to talk about Todd Gilliland very much.
Hey, Todd's a rascal this week, man. I actually am seeing a lot of people. Some of these sharps are coming to the table. I was listening to the NASCAR gambling podcast last night, or not your podcast, Rod. Sorry, the NASCAR gambling preview show with Derek and that bunch, and they were on him. So I don't know, man. Todd Gilliland could be out there. I don't think there's another number on this board we won't use though, Elliot.
Yeah. There's a couple that are couple weird numbers. Another one is I'm not going to pick him here, but Travis Pastrana in the 67. He's locked into the race. Do you guys think? I mean, I don't even know that. Does he have a price even on DraftKings? He is 5,000. So he's in the race. Do you think maybe he's worth throwing a bet on anywhere, or I don't know? He's in good equipment, 2311.
Unless you can find a good head-to-head on him versus somebody who's is not going to do well. That's about
Pastrana beat Cody Ware or something would be the dream. Right? So
I don't know.
I'd take Pastrana in that one, boys. I do love the equipment here, Elliot, but I don't think I can jump on anything. Maybe like if I need one of those minimum salary guys on DraftKings, maybe I'll throw them in. But I feel like there's a lot of other guys down in that area that I'd rather take the shot on. Ty Dillon, one of them. So, yeah, but I definitely – it's a fun story. It is a fun story, man. Travis Pastrana, especially for a kid your and I's age, Elliot. We grew up on this guy, Nitro Circus, X Games. This guy is a motorsports hero, an icon, if you would. And now he's going to take up the not just – I mean, he's been in trucks. He's been in Xfinity. We've seen what this guy can do. But now he's going to take it to the Cup Series. Oh, it's going to be fun, boys. It's going to be fun. So it's one of those bets. I have no analysis behind it, but be fun to ride that one out. How about it, Rod?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those bet with your heart, not with the stat sheet in front of you, because obviously the stats are not going to back you up on anything you bet on this guy.
Yeah.
All right, so this guy's number is on the board. He's the other guy. He's the other open car who's locked in. I got to go Jimmie Johnson as a C here. And I think that he's, I wasn't sure how he would run the next gen. He said in his qualifying lap, he thought there was an engine problem because the next gen car is different enough to the cars that he won 7 titles in. But I like Jimmie Johnson here. His price is $7,700, so maybe a little more inflated than I would like.
Yes,
for a guy
I agree
who's
on
coming
that.
out of 2 years out of the sport. But I mean, it showed in qualifying. It showed in the dual races. Chevy's pack got kind of screwed over by their pit strategy, but he was able to keep in with all the other Chevy cars. A lot of the favorites that we've talked about. I think Jimmie as a driver C is a good bet. I don't know that he comes back and wins immediately, but again, as a driver C bet, I like Jimmie Johnson in that 84.
I'm not allowed to protest my love for Jimmie Johnson anymore. I've been banned from that. Apparently, people don't like it when I say that I like Jimmie Johnson anymore. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, America, for loving Jimmie Johnson too much.
Well,
I'm a Bowman homer at least once a week on the pod. You can have a Jimmie Johnson moment if you want one.
I'm going to be pushing that agenda here later on in the show. So just stay strapped for that here, Rod. Guys, I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to go with Ryan Preece. He's making his debut for SHR full-time here. Listen, this guy has a 50% top 10 rate here at Daytona, and he hasn't been in this good equipment ever. He came out strong in the Clash. I think Ryan Preece is going to put pedal to the metal here. I love him here in the 41. I'm excited to be able to root for the 41. That's a number I just have despised the last couple of years with old Cole in it. So take out Cole Custer. Give me some Ryan Preece this week, guys. He comes in on DraftKings too at a screaming value of 6,800. So I'll have Ryan Preece in a lot of lineups here as a pivot play.
Well, Cody loves your pick. Cody loves him some Ryan Preece this week. So that's all good. All right. I waited long enough to say Chase Briscoe's name. So let's just say Chase Briscoe's name. Obviously I'm not thrilled about it, and we'll put him in the D's. Actually, we'll put him in the D's.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah, I already threw out all my C drivers. Remember that 36 wasn't on there.
Correct.
We're also not limited to 2 a tier. You can put him in a C if you feel like it.
No, that's true, but I'm still not going to put him in a C. I still think he belongs right there in the D. I'm okay with putting him in if I really need to. He did look fast, obviously, in qualifying. He did qualify in 6th, as the Fords really did do well, except for the fact that they could not deny the Hendrick Motorsports stable their pole position. But other than that, I mean, it was basically Fords dominating the entire qualifying effort. So I don't think he's going to be slow, nor do I think he's going to be up front a whole lot. So I think he's going to be in that middle of the pack. And I think if something twists his way, if something turns his way, he can find his way to a better finish. He's 7,400. So in that Daniel Suarez, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman range, Jimmie Johnson range. So, I mean, we're kind of lumping these guys in the right area. So, I mean, again, it's Chase Briscoe. He probably doesn't like me, so I'm not really worried about not being too high on him.
All right, a little beef with Chase Briscoe to start out the season. Elliot, where are you going here, my friend?
Well, I've been the only guy on his soapbox so far this year, so I'm going to stay with MTJ and put him as a driver C. His price is $8,400. That's not terrible. I don't love it. I think he could run well. He's never won at one of these restrictor plate tracks, but super speedway tracks have been restrictor plates for a long time. Break. But the 19 car, we've talked enough about him this season so far as to his season outlook. You can go back and watch all that if you want the same thing on MTJ. I think he's a driver C. I think he's going to run well enough to warrant a driver C bet.
Okay. I can get down with MTJ a little bit more this week. I have been kind of fading him all season long, but I'm not going to give you too much flack for it this week here. How about Corey LaJoie, guys? How about Mr. LaJoie? You highlighted him in your column earlier this week. Elliot, yep. I'm sure Rod and Cody have been talking about him over on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
Well, Cody
and has. I mean, Corey LaJoie, what more can you say about him? 7 top 20s in his 12 starts here, a 25% top 10 rate as well. He's not in great equipment. He's never going to probably be in great equipment, but I can roll with Corey LaJoie, I think, one more time here. If it comes down to it, he's a guy who hangs out in the back. He's going to miss a lot of those big wrecks most likely. Then he's going to find his way towards the front of the pack at some point. So I'm going to go Corey LaJoie here, guys. I think he's a really good play. 5,500 over on DraftKings. I think he's going to be chalky. Like everyone, this isn't a secret that Corey LaJoie is good at Daytona. I mean, the guy has a better average finish position than Eric Almirola, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse, McDowell, like a lot of people at this track. So it's no secret. We know that Corey LaJoie is good. I'm going to tail him here despite the chalk this week.
Yeah, you get no argument from Cody. Cody loves him some Corey LaJoie, and he bets him every single super speedway he can. And I'll bet that if he could be on his Stacking Pennies podcast, he would love to do nothing more than guest on that show. All right. Look, do I have to pick anybody else? Like, there's really nobody else on this board that excites me. If I'm going to put anybody up there, I guess I'll put Brad Keselowski, but only because somebody's got to say his name right now, right? So I'll put him in the D's. Keselowski does not excite me in any way, shape, or form, but given that he is a veteran driver, given that he has done well in his career on these sorts of tracks, like I will give him the just desserts of his career. But I just have a feeling like ownership is starting to become more of an important thing to Keselowski now, rather than driving. And so you're starting to see it, especially last season, you started to see it sort of diminish on the track. But I mean, he probably doesn't have too many Daytona 500s left. So might as well try this one, huh?
Yeah, you might as well try it. Yeah, I don't mind that pick here, Rod. Someone had to take him. Elliot, do you have anything a little more enticing?
Well, you were quite generous on Keselowski. He was going to be my next talking point, and I was going to put him in the E's because he's nothing exciting in the Clash, nothing exciting in qualifying, currently running 13th, not a factor in his duel, and his price is $8,800, which is extraordinarily overinflated for how bad that he's run lately.
No one's going to play him, though. No one's going to play him.
No one's going to play him, but that's because he's going to finish 27th. I mean, I would have put him in the E's, so putting him in the D's is a lot more generous. I don't know, for time constraints, can I do a 2-for-1 here? Because
absolutely.
We still got the two other Hendrick boys on the board, the 24 of Byron and the 5 of Larson, and being the Hendrick guy. I'll put them both in the C's. They're both fast enough that they can do something. Their prices are I think Byron's overinflated at 9,700. Larson at 9,900 is maybe a little better. I mean, obviously they're fast, but again, it's been a while. Hendrick hasn't won this race since Dale Jr. in 2014. So it's been a while since they've been able to get over the line in this race. So, I think they're fine as C's. There's still a couple of decent drivers left here. We wanted to make sure we got them out of the way because they're recognizable names on the board.
The issue with Kyle Larson is, like, how is he so bad at Daytona? It is, like, historically bad. He has no top fives there. The guy has strapped up in this track 17 times, and he can't get a top five. Worse finishing position at this track than Cody Ware. Like, that just tells you the story of Kyle Larson. So I won't be playing him. He can only move back in differential points as well. So I will be staying clear. Like, I honestly thought he belonged in the E tier. That's where I was about to put him. But I totally understand. Like, he has Kyle Larson, and you think he has to check this off his bucket list at some point. I'm not so sure, guys. I'm going to go with that Jones boy, though. We haven't talked about him a little bit. He has a win here. He has 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. And this is a guy who comes in here. He knows how to race here at the end. He knows he has to be conservative at the beginning. He knows he has to dodge some wrecks, and I think he's going to do it. I love this entire Legacy Motorsports Club team coming into this week. So I'm going to ride that Jones boy. I think he belongs in that D tier, possibly even the C tier, but I think I'll definitely put him in the C tier. But I'm going to move him ahead of Brad Keselowski there, just spite Rod a little bit.
Hey, that's a great call. I can't even hate you for that. And not to pile on to the Hendrick cars, because I love me some Hendrick cars, but William Byron not good at Daytona either. He's got a win and a second place finish, but then he's in the last 4 races, 26, 37, 38, 34. Not good at this track anymore. All right. I'll take another Ford and I'll put him in the E's, and I'll put Chris Buescher down there. And look, I mean, these Fords have been looking okay. Right. And Chris Buescher was another one of the guys that actually looked halfway decent for a second. But I'm not taking any part of him. He qualified 13th. Just not looking like it's going to be Chris Buescher's weekend. So, I mean, if we're calling E's kind of the stayaways, that's like the first of my stayaways.
Okay. Yeah, I'd honestly probably rather roster Buescher than Keselowski this week. I think that's just me with the price differential. Rod's seeing something a little bit different. Elliot, where are you heading here? We got E's and D's to fill out.
Well, I'm going to go with another E, and it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to tempt people. He's going to continue to tempt people just because he's got 2 super speedway wins. His price is overinflated for me. He is at 6,900, which is higher than Priest, Jones, McDowell, Gregson, Almirola, Allmendinger. The price is too high. He's got super speedway success. He's going to run up front, but he is absolutely going to either cause a big one or going to be a part of the big one, if not both. Stenhouse, especially at that price, just stay away. Don't bother with him.
There are tracks to like rip out a Ricky Stenhouse in your DFS lineups, rip him out, a top 10 bet. This is not one of them. I'm staying away from Ricky Stenhouse. I don't know how much longer he has in the Cup Series. I would love to see him on the mic. I've never seen him on the mic. I bet he's electric, known his personality. But yeah, Ricky Stenhouse, I think it's time to hang it up here soon. I'm going to finish out our D tier with former winner of this track, guys, McDowell. Michael McDowell, can we give a little respect to him? This is one of his better tracks, 20.3 average finishing position for Michael McDowell. So I like McDowell. I don't think he's going to be someone that I'm going to overly play because people obviously remember that glorious 2020 win, and I think people will still continue to play him. But overall, Michael McDowell belongs at least on the D tier. He's someone you can put in lineups, especially at his price tag this week.
Kind of crazy to see what's left on the board. Harrison Burton was actually in 9th. He qualified 9th. I can see why Ty Gibbs is down there in the 54 still. His rookie stripe is really showing this weekend. He has had problems in qualifying. He had problems
penalty on pit road in the duel.
Exactly. So I think the jitters are getting to him up there in the big boys. And it's not like it's just, I mean, he's raced in the big boys circuit before. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the intensity of this weekend. Maybe it's being back on the track since his dad passed away. It could be a mixture of a lot of that stuff. So I can see why he's down there. So it's kind of crazy to see who's left.
Yeah. So which one of these guys is your next placement here?
Oh, I have another one. Sure.
Yeah. Let's just run. Let's run through most of the guys that are still relevant.
Then I'll go. Well, I mean, I think Harrison Burton's still relevant in that 21.
That's gross too, Rod.
It is
That's
about the car.
absolutely gross.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean,
Is he an E or is he a D for you?
he's an E. He's an E. I'm not.
Okay.
No, don't give me that much. Jeez, I'm just saying put him on the board. I'm not necessarily saying because out of all of the rest of these guys, I mean, again, I can't really say any much. I love Allmendinger. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic driver. Love him to death. He's probably going to do pretty good things this weekend. But, Harrison Burton came out and qualified ninth. I mean, that's pretty big for a guy in the 21 car that's not necessarily known for running big. So I like him. I think if he just stays out of trouble, we could be in for a decent day out of that 21 car.
I think so. All right, so we've run a little long here. What do you think? I pick out a couple more guys. We see if you guys agree where we put them, and then we move on to our more specific bets for the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Right,
I do want to throw out Daniel Suarez should be probably in this driver D
he was
tier.
my next guy. I was going to bump him up to probably a C just because I don't know how we missed him.
Daniel Suarez, like why we've missed him, I feel like, Elliot, honestly, no top 5, no top 10s at Daytona before, 28.5 average.
He's doing the door right now, if that means anything,
That does mean something. That does mean something. But he's right in that price tag range with Alex Bowman, Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick. And I'm just playing those guys over Suarez this week, I think. I think that's why I didn't mention him. Rod, you split the difference here. Where do you want to put Suarez? Is he a D? Is he a C? Or is he an E? Stay away for you.
I feel like he's a D at this point. Again, he didn't really show a whole lot of speed already. I mean, yeah, he's doing well in the duels, but we're not even halfway. Well, just about halfway through. Who knows what's going to happen at this point, right? Sure. I mean, we saw craziness. I mean, actually, we didn't see too much craziness because we saw pit strategies play out in Duel 1. But for Daniel Suarez, yeah, I mean, I want to get excited about him this season. I really do, but I don't know if it's this race in particular that I'm going to be particularly crazy about Daniel Suarez.
I'm excited about his win total right now. I think it's still at 0.5 over on Caesars. So that is something, if you want to get a little Daniel Suarez action this week, I would go on the betting side of it for a season long. Yeah, it's been tough running for Daniel Suarez here at this track. Elliot, throw the last couple here out before we jump into the best bets of the night.
All right. Well, I think the 16 and the 31, Allmendinger and Haley, the Colleague boys, probably both Ds. I think that's fair. What do we think about Austin Hill? Do we want to put him in a D, or do we want to even put him on the board?
I think he's an E.
When he's in, technically he's not locked into the race, so maybe we should just leave him off the board for right now.
That's what I'm a little bit concerned about, honestly. I'm going to talk a little bit about A. Hill in the next segment, but yeah, I think that's a tough one. Right. I don't know who else is out there, Elliot.
Well, we got to put Gibbs on there somewhere. Even if he's an E, I think he's got to be on the board, right?
Yeah.
Then I'd put him as an E. That would be where I'd set him.
Yeah. We already talked about Gilliland in the 38. I don't think Ty Dillon offers anything in the 77. I don't know if you guys do.
Nope.
He's been better. Like, this is one of his better tracks. The Dillon boys are good at this track. I think he should at least be like the end of the D tier, if I'm going to be honest with you. Coming in at DraftKings 4,800, like he's in the Riley Herbst under Travis Pastrana. So, like, I think if you need some creativity, if you want to stack the top of your lineup with some of these bigger name guys, I think Ty Dillon is an option here this week. It's not a great option, but it's an option.
Ty Dillon is an option. It's true.
He is an option in the fact that he will be one of the cars that starts the race. And past that, that's about it. So in terms of the 15 of Herbst, I'm not touching him even though he's locked in. There's no 44. 50 of Connor Daly's going to miss the race unless somebody wrecks. Cody Ware, who cares? Austin Hill's not locked in yet. Ty Dillon, who cares? Todd Gilliland, who cares? BJ McLeod, who cares?
I think Todd Gilliland belongs in that D tier. He was pretty fast last year at this track a couple of times before having some bad luck. So, yeah, I think we got to throw Toddy on there. And like,
that D tier is crazy. What the hell?
Ty Dillon is a D is too far, I think. But all right,
too far. Oh, show some respect to Mr. Ty. And I think we should throw Cody. We should throw Cody Ware on this. Like, I'm just saying, like, the dude has a better average finish at Daytona than Buescher, than Larson, Cole Custer, Brad Keselowski, like a couple guys. So I think you could like have a little respect. Like, I'm not going to be playing him, but 4,600, he's down there to BJ McLeod. I think show him a little bit of love, right?
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, usually the Daytona 500 is the only time we go through basically every car in the field. I have a lot of fun with it. Maybe we'll do it more often since we're doing the show every week now.
Yeah.
But all right. So there's your layout for Daytona. looks like, hopefully one of these driver A's win. Hopefully the driver E's all crash out 5 laps in, make us look good.
Yeah, and before we jump over to the best bets of the night, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is a really fun start to the season. We're going to get into a little bit of the gambling side. If you guys are new to the channel, please like this video, subscribe, come back and hang out with us again. We're just getting ripping here, so let's continue the fun here, Elliot. And I think we have a pretty cool next segment for everyone.
Yep, next up, we have got the parking garage props of the week. All right, well, I know damn well you guys have combed the books. You've got some good bets for this week. Let's hear them.
I tell you, that music always makes me want to grab a sarsaparilla and head up to the bar.
I do love that. I think I said this last year, but there are sometimes during the week I'll think about the show and that little tune will just pop into my head. All right, let's go.
I've honestly debated replacing that drop and getting a new one because I actually don't enjoy that drop. The graphics on that a little bit. We made that a while ago.
Change the graphics. You got to keep the song somewhere.
Fair enough. Rod, what was your overall impressions of the book? Because I will say, I think Caesars won this week as in variety. There's so much fun bets out there you can get involved with, although I'm not trying to get too weird here in week 1 of the season. DraftKings before tonight, they pulled all their bets before tonight's duels, but DraftKings had some really cool matchups as well. So I was thrilled. As someone who likes betting Ryan Preece versus Austin Hill and these weird ones, Jimmie Johnson versus Alex Bowman, I was thrilled, but they pulled a lot. So I was a little upset by how quickly they pulled some of those.
Yeah, I mean, you really had to get on them early if you wanted to get some of those really, really fun ones. But you're absolutely right. It just Caesars. I mean, the exactas are some of the most insane bets you'll ever place in your entire life. And I don't remember seeing an exacta for NASCAR.
I never saw that before either.
Right. So, I mean, I love it, they're definitely killing it. They have pulled a few of their props already, but I will say that there are still some fantastic ones up there. Manufacturers, group bets, a lot of good group bets, and of course the winning car numbers. So, you're right. Caesars pretty much took it home this week as far as Daytona 500 bets are concerned.
And I'm not surprised. Caesars are the ones, they came out with the win total bets the earliest among a lot of the traditional sports books. So, yeah, big fan of Caesars right now. Appreciate everything they're doing for this industry here. Rod, let's talk about outrights. Are you on any outrights? Should we be tailing you on any outrights? The only one that I have placed right now is a plus 7,500 that I placed earlier this season on Noah Gragson in December. That line's been cut to about 4,000. So don't recommend grabbing Noah Gragson at that. Bubba Wallace, he's the only one. I think he feels fair. It's plus 1,600. If you want to ride with Denny Hamlin, the favorite, is there anyone else you're maybe looking for?
I mean, we've kind of been all over Kyle Busch as far as a guy that we think may end up taking it home, but only because
real quick, Kyle Busch just got spun in the duel, so he's going to potential for differential points. He's out of this race.
Well, there you go. See, you like that altogether. Man, see, and then that's why we do this. That's why we do this, because now you know that Kyle Busch is going to be a good play. But no, for Kyle Busch, as far as being a favorite to win this, he's not in the favorites. He's actually at 10-1 for the championship right now. If I'm pulling it up live, he's live at 10-1. I like that because we talked a lot about this team changeover and what that means to Kyle. And, it wasn't as if he was mailing it in at the end of last season. Obviously, he knew he was competing to win every single week because he wanted to give a big middle finger to Gibbs on his way out the door. But now that's settled, and I feel like he's got to get used to saying Chevy again, as he's already alluded to. But I think Kyle Busch he's got the right amount of pissed offedness to make a very deep run into these playoffs and quite possibly take the whole damn thing down at 10-1. 10-1.
Sorry, I was muted there. When we're looking at Daytona specifically here, guys, I think Bubba Wallace at plus 1,600 comes into this, and that's a fair price. I'm also going to be going in on the top 5 for him as my top 5 bet of the week, plus 200. Best average finish position here with 10 or more starts, 12.4, only 2 DNFs. And like, this is just a driver who has a feel for Daytona. He knows how to work this track. 36.3 top 5 rate. That is insane. That is insanity for Bubba Wallace. So I love that. He led 12 laps here in the spring, 2 in the fall race. So he knows how to work his way up at the right time. And realistically, I just think Bubba Wallace, if you want to take a shot here, he's also the first guy on a lot of books at plus money for a top 10. So I'll be riding him for a top 10. I'll be riding for a top 5. And I will probably sprinkle maybe a half, maybe a quarter unit on the outright as well. Rod, any other feelings here in the top 3-5 outright market for Daytona that we should be looking at?
It's not sexy, but of course we know super speedway odds are always sexy for the most part. And Denny Hamlin at 11-1. I know he's the favorite. I know we love us some drama. We love us some long shots, especially on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. But sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the guys that can get it done. And Denny Hamlin is one of those guys that can get it done. He's already won here a couple of times in the last, 4 or 5 seasons. So when you can take a checkered flag home at Daytona, you know how to do it, right? And I mean, I don't know how much longer he has. I know that, again, he's a youngish driver. I think we're about the same age or somewhere around the same age. But listen, those bones don't work the same after a while, and you start to rethink your entire world, especially now that he's got one foot in ownership. But I do like Denny Hamlin at 11-1 to win this race. I just feel like it's a good enough bet, especially at super speedway prices, to turn yourself a profit if he does.
The only concern I had with Denny Hamlin, I also really wanted to get behind that because I just feel like at the end of the day, there could be a Denny Hamlin standing in victory lane. I would not be surprised about it, but he didn't have one top 10 on any of the super speedways last season. Elliot, are you chopping that up to just bad luck for Hamlin in 2022 on these super speedways? Or should I be scared away from taking the outright on him like Rod's suggesting? Or am I overreacting?
No. This guy's the best Daytona 500 driver in the field right now. He's won it 3 times. He knows how to do it on super speedways. Super speedways are just such a crapshoot that more often than not, you're not going to get that race win. But Denny Hamlin has bucked that trend in a lot of cases. I mean, he's up there. People forget about it. He's up there with some of the best super speedway drivers ever in terms of numbers and wins and things like that. Being scared off of Hamlin makes no sense unless, what's his price on DK here? It's pretty steep at 10. It's pretty steep at 10.3. If you're looking for value, obviously don't pick him. But as an outright, I mean, why on earth would you go against him?
It was just those 2022 numbers. That's what threw me off, honestly. So I like to look at those. One of the data sets I did look at was 2022 speedways. I looked at Atlanta a little bit as well. I don't know where we justified that yet in the industry, but I want to move to top 10s here, Rod. And I have one top 10 that I brought it up yesterday, and some people gave me a little backlash for it, but it's Jimmie Johnson plus 140 at Caesars. And I wish the line was a little, I wish we're getting a little better odds for a guy coming out of retirement. However, I feel good about this one. 5 out of his last 8 races at Daytona were top 10 finishes. And you add he has an 11th place finish in there as well. So it could be 6 out of 8. Average finish here, 18.3. That's better than the guys like Kyle Busch, right around the range of Ryan Blaney, 18.1, Denny Hamlin, 16.8. So he's in that mix, and he should be in there. The argument against Jimmie Johnson coming into this race is experience in the next gen car. That's 100% the thing.
True.
One thing I will say, he got that testing done in Phoenix a while back, and I think that plays a role. He saw these cars pretty early on in that part, and he looked good in qualifying yesterday, boys. He looked really good in qualifying. So I think Jimmie Johnson's a guy who he doesn't need to go up there and lead a lot of laps. I think he's very content hanging in the back, letting some of these, letting his other teammates go out up there, test the waters, Noah Grayson, test the water, Jones, and I think he's going to hang back there. Plus 140, I'm willing to take the shot on Jimmie Johnson for a top 10 here. If you want to get a little bit spicier, I think he's about a plus 450 for a top 5. Rod, you are the Jimmie Johnson stan of this show, of this industry possibly. Can you get behind plus 140 for a top 10 for him?
Spoiler alert, if you listen to tonight's episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, you might just hear exactly that same bet. I did fill out my bet.
There we go.
That bet is on there. And a lot of what you said is absolutely true. And to me, what he said last night was absolutely telling about he didn't even feel like the car was moving. Like he said this car was not making any noise. It felt sluggish. It felt slow. And in fact, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I know these guys are going 190 miles an hour, but it looks like they're crawling right now. Like it just feels like it's not going fast. And I can only imagine that Jimmie is used to hearing what he hears in a stock car. He gets behind it. Nothing like that. It's like driving probably a bicycle with a card in the spokes. Compared to what he's used to driving, right? So,
but he spent the last few years driving 220 miles an hour at Indianapolis, so that's a lot different.
Exactly. So I think this is a guy who, I mean, look, if you take the ball out of Michael Jordan's hand for a season and put a bat in it, right? Of course, it's going to take him a second to get back into the feel of a basketball. Right? Give Jimmie Johnson, he's had a few more laps on this track now. He had an entire 60-lap race. I think he'll be just fine for the 500. I think it'll just be muscle memory at that point, and I think we're in for a top 10 finish with him.
The potential for differential points will be pretty high, too. The dual finish was not that great because he was in that Chevy group.
Yeah, I'll definitely have him in. A spoiler alert, in our Fantrax league, he came in at the minimum this week, so I'll be playing him there. I'll be playing him DraftKings, and I'm going to take this top 10 on him, guys. And I will say, Rod, you and I don't agree on a lot of stuff, so sometimes I think when we do agree on something, maybe we're onto something. Maybe we'll have pie on our face next week. We can talk about it, but I'm glad to hear that. Anything else in the top 10 market, Rod, that we should be paying attention to, or do you want to jump ahead to head-to-heads?
It's funny because I wasn't going to do this until after the duels as far as what the top 10s. I mean, and I said them beforehand, but as I was watching the duels, you don't like it, but I do. What about Zane Smith at plus 350? In the top 10 market, Zane Smith at plus 350 is one of the better prices that you'll get before you get to the Gillilands, the Pastranas, the Herbsts, the Dailies, the McLeods, and the Wares. So
real long shots.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. He's probably the more safer of the long shots in a top 10 than anything. We just saw him finish top 10s in the duel. I mean, I know that's half the field, but the tides go right. Zane Smith finds himself inside the top 10 at 3.5 to 1 for a top 10 is not bad.
I'm willing to take the shot at that price. I am willing to take the shot. And he's someone a lot of people in the industry are talking about as a sneaky guy to contend this week. So I'll definitely be playing a little bit around with him on my DraftKings lineups. And I'll probably, you're talking me into it, Rod.
I was gonna say, you won't feel good about it, Seth. I see it in your face right now. You're like, oh.
It feels naughty. It feels naughty, boys. I feel like I'm not supposed to be doing it.
You won the Truck Series. Come on, man.
We got Notorious in the chat. He's saying, "Hey guys, good to see NASCAR talk again. Good to have you in the chat again, man."
That's my brother. What's up?
Good, good to see him back for this season. Yeah.
Speaking of long shots, Austin Hill just went off the track in the 62, so I believe he will not make it as long as that 50 car.
Oh no!
Yeah, okay. He was involved in that crash with Rowdy. He's being interviewed now. I can't wait to hear that after we're wrapped up.
So I already actually have a bet placed with Austin Hill. I don't know if that will get voided or not, but
I would imagine.
We can chat about that though.
True.
So
actually, Hill will probably miss the race, but I think Daly needs to finish ahead of Pastrana. I forget how it all works, but so Hill's at risk of missing the race. Let's just say that. He's
okay. Okay. Yeah. What's Zane Smith's history like here in the other series at Daytona? You guys followed the trucks and Xfinity a little bit closer than I do. So do you guys have any recommendation on how he's done at these big races?
I think I heard on the Fox broadcast he won the truck race last year. Do I remember that correctly?
Yes, he did. He actually won the truck race here last year. He was it was one of those instances where I think we called him out and then he ended up winning the race. So that was a good call. But yeah, he's definitely good at super speedway races. I'm not falling away from him. He actually won in Daytona. He finished let's see where we're going, but Talladega. He finished 17th at Talladega. Not really good in the truck race there, but again, that first win was pretty much what set him up for his entire season, and that was a big win in Daytona rather.
Mm-hmm. And I will say before we kind of jump off the trucks, Chase Elliott's out there plus 650 for the Truck Series race. I think I am going to have to take a little shot at that. Maybe it's a half a unit. Rod, how do you feel about Chase Elliott going to the trucks for right off the rip here? Because I am intrigued by that number.
No, and listen, at 650, you got to take a little bit of sprinkle on that one. Now, look, we've seen, and we talked about this on the show too, where Kyle Busch dipped down a few times into the truck races, obviously for obvious reasons for him. And he didn't actually win any of those. And in fact, his teammates kind of wiped the floor with him a couple of times. So, it's not a done deal that a guy like Chase Elliott's going to come down and dominate in the truck race. It's almost like seeing these big league guys come down into single A ball and get struck out by a single A pitcher. That's a lot like what it's like to watch a Cup guy lose in the Truck Series. But look, anything's possible. I think putting something on Chase Elliott's not a bad idea.
Okay. And Rod, let's go to the head-to-head market over here. I know this is very volatile right now. As we already kind of talked about, DraftKings, they released a litter of kind of fun, different head-to-heads, very original that we hadn't seen in a long time in the NASCAR industry. And then they took them all away. Are you expecting any of those to come back?
I would hope so, because there was a lot of good ones that I had pegged. And now that they're gone, like I honestly can't even tell you right now exactly what they were. But I do know they had a Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick head-to-head that I remember seeing. And it was weird because it was like, really, this is the one that we're going to do. I know you guys just changed teams, but I liked the Kyle Busch end of that. I really do hope they bring some of those head-to-heads back. I'm not seeing any head-to-heads on any book at this point.
So I imagine the head-to-heads will come back once the duels are done, qualifying's all set up. They have a better idea of who's good and who isn't. Then they can have some more accurate head-to-heads, even if they take some of the more fun ones away.
The one I had on, or I placed two already earlier in this week. The one was Ryan Preece versus Austin Hill, which just didn't feel like a fair bet, to be honest with you. And I've already kind of talked, like Ryan Preece, he's a guy who's finished top 10 in 50% of his Daytona races. So if Ryan Preece versus somebody does come back up on some of these books, consider it. I think he's a very seasoned driver to not have raced that many races here at Daytona. So I'm interested in Ryan Preece. And the one that I did take as well that I'm hoping comes back so our betting audience can go out there and click it as well, Noah Gragson versus Harrison Burton. This was another one I couldn't believe they put out there. Harrison Burton, average finish position on super speedways in 2022. Dead last in NASCAR among full-time drivers. That includes, yes, Mr. Cody Ware, guys. And best finish
Cody Ware had that top 10 in the fall.
Yeah, for sure. But in the rain race, it does throw some things off. But
yeah,
best finish for him was 19th at Daytona. And let's face it, like I just think Harrison Burton is a guy who he got brought up a little too early because of his name. He did really good in the Xfinity in 2020 in that COVID season, but I think he got brought up too early. We saw Matty D get chased out of this ride, and I think they're the Woods brothers, they're paying for it a little bit now. So
to be fair, Matty D is not lighting the world on fire in the truck.
No, for sure. He was a better Cup racer than I think he is a truck racer.
More of a better, yeah. Fair point.
But he was better than Harrison Burton was. And I think Harrison Burton, this is more a Harrison Burton fade than anything. But as you guys know, I like Noah Gragson earlier in the season here. 3 top 20s on super speedways in Cup last season in very limited starts as well. 2 top 20s at Dega and a top 5 here in the fall at Daytona as well. So I like what he can do. Whole team is looking decent over there at Legacy Motor Club. So I'm excited about Noah Gragson. Rod, if that one comes back, are you willing to hop on it? I know you showed a little bit of Harrison Burton love, a little more than I liked earlier in the show.
Yeah, I don't know that. That's the thing about it. Like Noah Gragson, of the 2 rookies, right, of Gragson and Gibbs, I feel like Gragson right now is having a more relaxed weekend than Ty Gibbs. And maybe it's because Gragson is in this Legacy Motorsports Club, and he's got Jimmie Johnson there. He's got Eric Jones there, and he probably feels like, but Ty Gibbs has got the pressure of being a Gibbs. He's got Hamlin. He's got Truex. He's got all these guys around him that are super competitive. So maybe that's the thing. So I don't know. I still think Harrison Burton, though, may have a better day in that 21 car. Legacy, as much as I love what I'm seeing right now, it just doesn't feel like all 3 cars are on the same level at this point. And I think Gragson, being a rookie, may still have a little bit of feeling out to do in that. So I would probably still lean the Burton way. I can't hate you for Gragson, though, because I love Gragson. I do. And I don't want to ever see what he has for dinner again after a race. I'd like to do that. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll still take the Harrison Burton part of that.
Okay. Okay, we're on opposite sides there. Elliot, Rod, do you guys have any other final bets we should bring up tonight? I'm tapped out. I've gone through my card pretty much. I'm excited to see. I'm sure things are going to shift after these duels conclude as well. But overall, I was pretty excited about the weekend and what the books had laid out for us, Rod.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I had left was probably Briscoe over Truex. I don't see that. If that comes back, take that one. I know Elliot showed the Truex love, but
I'm with you.
And no,
I'm with you, Rod.
No, Nick, we didn't talk a lot about Harvick today. We actually we talked a little bit about him when we were talking in tiers, but the bets have for him and the all the talk hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's one of those people this week. He's like, he comes in 7,800 on DraftKings. Like, he's just a very middle of the road guy. And could we see him with the top 10? Sure. But like, there's nothing that jumps out saying, hey, I got to bet Kevin Harvick. I got to get in my DK lineup this week. He's solid. And if I'm looking around and I have $8,000 worth of salary, would I consider him? Probably, but I also like guys like Austin Dillon at 8,000 in DraftKings. I like Jimmie Johnson at 7,700, Alex Bowman 7,500. There's a lot of other names in that range other than Kevin Harvick, and I think like the Kevin Harvick talk is coming this season. Don't worry about it, Rod's brother. It is absolutely coming. You can bookmark it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because it is coming. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Elliot, any final advice, whether it's fantasy betting, just life as we head into Daytona 500? Because I am psyched, boys. I am psyched.
This is going to be fun. Well, I'll give you one. So Austin Hill is not going to make the race. He's out and Pastrana's out. So whatever Hill bets.
Oh, Pastrana. I was so looking forward to it.
Well, so he'll be in, but that's why Hill will not be in because Pastrana will fall back on the speed and Daly will make it in for still being running. So Austin Hill, unfortunate for him. We've given you a lot of good advice tonight, but at the end of the day, it could all be for naught because Daytona is just so insane year in, year out.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate everyone for tuning into the podcast tonight. We're back here every Thursday live, 8:30 p.m. So make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Elliot has his column out on the site this week as well. You can find my article tomorrow morning over on Betting Pros as well, where I'm going to lay out some of my best bets. And then, of course, you can find Rod's NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Him and Cody are slinging it a couple times a week, Rod. Am I right about that?
Every day, 5 days a week, we are cranking out content, betting shows on all three series, dedicated to all three series every night.
Let's go, Rod. We are proud of you, man, and the good work you're doing. We appreciate you making time for us over here at IBT Media. Guys, enjoy the Daytona 500. We'll be back real soon, and subscribe to the channel. Come hang out with us again. Thank you guys so much. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.